Hi, guys. Good morning. We have been in a summer collection of ministry highlights where every Tuesday we want to highlight ministries. And so this morning we have our very own Pastor Trevor
What's up,
De
everyone?
La Hussein.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Pastor Trevor is the party of our church.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
And he oversees our young adult ministry, our NextGen ministry, and also our outreach ministry.
Right.
So two huge roles in our church, and we are just so blessed to have him. He is also the newest addition to our pastoral team.
What?
I know.
Woo.
So you're the newbie, and
Yeah.
you're doing great things,
Thank
and
you.
we are so glad that you're part of our team.
Thank you.
How long have you been part of our team?
So, thank you for having me on, Pastor
Yes.
Kayla, and shout out to Pastor John, Dr. PJ. We love you.
We love you, Pastor
Thanks for
John.
hiring me. And so we love you so much. I love you guys. You guys are the best. I've been here all my life, actually. So I grew up in Victorville. And so I went to this church for a while, and then me and my family, when I was a freshman in high school, we went out to Lucerne with Pastor Kevin, who now
Wow.
does Hesperia. And so I was there for 4 years, and then after that, went to college, and now
Where did you go to college?
I went to UCLA.
Wow.
Let's go Bruins.
Okay.
And yeah, if you're a USC fan, we'll pray for you. But yeah, I went to UCLA, and in between UCLA, I came back and I interned for 2 years under Pastor Kayla for our Next Gen ministry. And then once I graduated a couple weeks ago, Pastor John, the board, the church, they
A couple
hired me
weeks
on,
ago.
so-
He just graduated, guys.
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago. It feels weird to say it, but just a couple weeks ago.
Feels good.
And now I'm back. So it's awesome. It's good to be home. This is where my family is. And yeah, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, what I love about you, Pastor Trevor, is that you're young, you're fresh. But what I love about you is that you're so humble and you're so authentic. You are so you, and you have this fire inside of you. When we first met Pastor Trevor, and for those who have met Pastor Trevor, I like to consider him like a match that just lights everybody up. And it is really a gifting to have that. And so we're just so grateful that you're part of our team and this church and what God's doing in the high desert.
Thank you.
It reminds me, some people sometimes they leave to college. Maybe you're a young adult, and we have this mentality of I just want to leave my house
Right.
and never come back.
Right.
And I think you're a testimony of how God can still use you in your home city. How
Yeah.
God can burn a passion within you, even where you were raised. Do you want to speak into that?
Yeah, I think, I think a lot of people, and I think I dealt with this fear too, was, I went off to college and then coming back home, everyone knew me as a kid. Everyone knew me like, and the mistakes that I made and like my faults and just everything. I think people kind of get that in their head a little bit too much and they feel like they can't be respected
Right.
or like they can't be a leader where they're at. And so for me, I just felt like God say, you know what, when you reach the end of yourself, that's when I can take control. And so really it's not about me, it's not about Trev, it's not about anything else. It's just about how can I just point people back to Jesus and how can I do that in my home? And really, like, I have my family around me, so I have my orb of protection that speaks into my life, which they help me at every outreach, every Next Gen young adult like service. And so for me, being home, it just felt like God was sending me back here on a mission, not just to also learn, but on a mission to reach the young adults in the high desert, to help impact our community through outreach. Yeah. And it just wasn't a mistake. And so for me, I knew I was contemplating like, like, where do I want to go? I think young adults also, they feel like they got to leave home. Like they got to, like, that's the mission. That's the journey is to leave home.
Sometimes the wrong motive of to leave home.
And sometimes God sends you back into the place where you grew up and the place where you learned. And it's in that place where you can light a fire, hopefully, and add a little bit more to the table and see what God can do through you. And that's what I'm seeing right now. So
that's amazing.
I'm just loving the journey, Pastor Kayla.
Yeah, and you have done such a great job. What would you say, maybe for those who are watching, maybe you are a young adult, maybe you're middle age or you're in the upper range. What would you say for those maybe who want to pursue ministry, who want to pursue the calling over their life?
Yeah.
What steps did you take in that process?
Well, number one, you got to realize how you act determines where you go. So Samson had all the strength in the world. I was meditating on this. Samson had all the strength in the world, but his character was his downfall. And so what we as young adults have to realize is, yes, God's grace and forgiveness is what's going to get us there. But really, like, we have to take steps of maturity.
Yes,
we have to grow in maturity. Like, we have to keep on walking with God. So that's number one, find mentorship. that's going to challenge you and say, hey, I know that you're only 22 years old, but that doesn't mean you have to act like you're 22 years old. Like, know how to act in certain situations, in certain groups, in certain settings. Really develop your character, because that's going to determine really the open doors that happen and where God can send you. I would say number 2 is be willing and available. And so I came home 2 years ago from my first mission trip to Haiti, and I just felt like God said, go to the church, ask to be a part of it, ask to intern. So they weren't doing an internship at this time. And so I went and I asked the pastor, I was like, hey, I really want to intern. And he goes, okay, like he started getting a little bit more about me. And then I went up to Pastor Kayla and said, hey, like I really want to be a part of this. And then Pastor Kayla and Pastor Nahum both empowered me in young adults and youth at that time. And so it was a long process of just like, hey, I wasn't perfect at that time. I don't even know if I was ready, but I was willing. And it's just like, I remember days when I would come to the church and I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm doing here. I felt like, like underqualified, things of that nature. But I remember just telling my mom when I was down one day, hey, I'm just going to keep on going back. I'm just going to keep on going back. I'm just going to keep on going back. And that's the mentality, right, for young adults. Just keep going back. I think of Jesus, who was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he was praying. And then the Bible says that Jesus was down, he was destroyed, but he just went a little further. And that's just what us as a community of young adults, really, we just got to go a little further. Like right now in this time, I don't want to get too preachy.
We love it.
But just go a little further and see, like, when you get past all of the obstacles, that's when, like, you see the grace of God move. And you develop maturity, you develop just so much that you need in this season.
You just keep
and then
moving.
God elevates you. You don't have to elevate or kick down doors or do anything. He just elevates you. And
that's such a word. Such a word for our young adults. Maybe that's a word for you. We just keep moving. It doesn't matter how unqualified you feel. It doesn't matter what you've done. I love at our church, we believe that you belong, that you matter. It doesn't matter how you messed up, but we want to walk with you on this journey. And I love that. We're about relationships. We're about building connection, authentic relationships, not just, hey, we love you, but I love that we build connection where we want to go to coffee with you. We want to meet with you and hang out with you. And so if you are a next gener from 18 to 32 and you are wanting to be part of something that's bigger than yourself, we just want to say, man, come to NextGen. So can you let us know, what does NextGen look like right now?
So that's it. So NextGen is what we were talking about right now. We are really empowering young adults to learn how to be their most authentic self and chase after Jesus towards maturity, towards growth. We have a good mix right now of 18 to 22-year-olds coming out of college, like coming out of high school, like different things of that nature. We also are reaching, Pastor Kayla, this is a huge win for us. We're reaching 25 to 30-year-olds too, married with kids. And so our community is a full-on mix of people who are up-and-coming young adults, like passionate about college and like even social justice issues, but also married kids, and we're reaching all of it, and it feels like a family, it feels like a home. We have kids worshiping at the front. It's just so cool to see how God can minister to no matter like who you are welcome here, and we're just challenging people, be your authentic self, learn how to be authentic, learn how to be the person God's made you to be. And we're really prioritizing the outward experience. So at NextGen, we value, this is what we say, we value the one. So we're for the one at NextGen. So the one who was broken, who's hurting, who's depressed, who's anxious, like the one, everything our service does caters to the one who hasn't experienced Jesus or maybe who's interested in Jesus. And we're also interested in getting outside of the walls of the church. So we've been prioritizing, this is a great testimony too, NextGen Outdoors. Like we're outside of the walls. We're passionately worshiping Jesus outside the walls behind our gym next to the Extreme Field. And we're just really trying to reach people and just tell people, hey, you're loved, you're valued. And even though COVID-19 changed almost everything, we can promise you that Jesus hasn't changed. And if you have that as your firm foundation, you can go anywhere, because you have that solid trust that you can build on. So
that's so good. And what days are you meeting? What days do you do ministry? Just in case anybody wants to be part of it, and how can they follow you, or how can they get in contact with you?
Right, so thank you. So we do our Friday services, our big services, Friday at 8 p.m. right now. Typically we do it Friday at 7 p.m. in the sanctuary, but right now while we're outdoors, it's Friday at 8 p.m. We have a full-on sound system, full band, full preaching, community. We have a connections team come through. You'll feel loved. You'll feel welcomed. And I'll introduce you personally, introduce you to everyone. I will. I promise. I'll introduce you to everybody. And
obviously wearing masks, right?
Obviously wearing masks, and we're keeping it safe. We have
Yes.
hand sanitizer at the door, so we're all wearing masks. And then Wednesday we have our discipleship program. It's called NextGen Devos. And so what we do is we meet on Zoom on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and we just talk about the Bible, talk about life, and talk about Jesus. And so if you want to get in contact with me, you can email me at pastortrevor@vfassembly.org, or you can find me on Instagram at Trevor Delahousse or Facebook. Get in contact with me there. If you want to follow our page, you can follow us on Instagram at NextGenHD and on Facebook at NextGenHD as well. So give us a follow. Let us know how we can help you and serve you, and come through. We would love to meet you and include you.
Thank you so much. We love our next generation because we believe that you guys are the next pastors, the next leaders, the next doctors, presidents, and we believe in you, and you have the best to lead you. And so thank you so much for being part of our ministry highlight.
It's so much fun.
You're awesome. Thank you. And so thank you guys for watching.
We love you.
We love you.